require textbooks to be accurate. All I want is accuracy in the textbooks. All of the evidence that's used to support the evolution theory has been proven fraudulent, and I'll take any bit of evidence you want. We'll show you which one it is. They use all sorts of about 50 different things. I don't have time in 15 minutes, obviously. But this fellow says evolution is a fact. This is called a mantra. You say it over and over and over, and pretty soon you start believing it. He says the evidence for evolution comes from the fossil record. The fossil record provides some of the strongest evidence that species evolved over time. I would like to point out, if evolution were on trial in a court of law, absolutely no fossils would count, because you can't prove those bones had any kids. You sure can't prove they had different kids. And why on earth would you think a bone you found in the dirt can do something animals today cannot do, which is produce something other than their kind? By the way, there is no fossil record. You don't look back in the fossil record. You look at fossils. You put an interpretation on them, but they don't come with a date on them, and they don't come with a card saying this was, made by a dinosaur 80 million years ago. So when somebody says we looked back in the fossil record, oh, you don't either look back in the, you dig up a fossil and it's 2003. Okay, you're putting your interpretation on that bone, but you don't know for sure when that thing lived. The word evolution has 6 different, totally unrelated meanings. First, there would have to be cosmic evolution. This is a major obstacle the evolutionists have to overcome. You have to have somehow the beginning of time, space, and matter. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Then you have to have chemical evolution. I've never had an evolutionist tackle this one. I wish they would, because if the Big Bang theory is true, the Big Bang made hydrogen and possibly some helium. Well, how did we get 92 elements, plus the synthetic ones? I know you can fuse them in stars, but then you can't get past iron with fusion. So you got a real problem here. And then we'd have to have stellar evolution. Stars would have to evolve. Nobody's ever seen a star form. They've seen a couple of spots get brighter, and they say, oh, wow, star forming. You don't know what star's forming. It could be the dust is clearing. There's a star behind it. There's no proof any star's ever formed out there in space that we've seen form, but we see them blow up all the time. They're called novas or supernovas. That's the opposite of evolution. It's backwards. There's enough stars out there that everybody can own 2 trillion of them to yourself. I mean, it's not like there's a lack of stars to go around. Those are the ones we know about. We don't know about the ones that we don't know about. Then we'd have to have what's called organic evolution. Somehow, somewhere, long ago and far away, life has to get started from non-living material. The evolutionist is left with a very embarrassing position in believing something that's been proven wrong for over 100 years. He still believes in spontaneous generation. Life had to get started from non-living material. Now, I don't want to hear about all the experiments. You say, well, it might have happened, or we might be able to do it someday. The fact of the matter is, it's a religious belief. You have to believe that it happened. And you're welcome to keep that belief. I don't care what you believe. But don't call it science. And don't make everybody else learn that junk. You keep it at home, or start your own private school and teach evolution to anybody that wants to pay and come learn it. Okay? Then we have what's called macroevolution, whereas the animal changes from one kind to another. Nobody has ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. Never. Science is things we can observe and test and demonstrate. All of human history shows us dogs produce dogs. Period. Microevolution, I think, is a lousy word, and we shouldn't use it, but they do, so I'm going to explain what it means. It actually means just a variation within the kind. Variations certainly happen. Sometimes some real bizarre variations happen, but they're still the same kind. The first 5 meanings of the word are purely religious. What happens, though, students are given one definition of this word evolution, and then they switch the definition on them. It's called bait and switch. According to the Big Bang theory, 18 to 20 billion years ago, all the matter in the universe was concentrated into one very dense, very hot region that may have been much smaller than a period on this page. Man, that's one crowded dot. For some unknown reason, this region exploded. It's called the Big Bang. They cut down a tree to print that. Where's Al Gore when you need him? That's what I want to know, yeah. This textbook says 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth cooled and formed a rocky crust. Yes, boys and girls, the planet Earth cooled and a rocky surface was created. And then as the Earth formed, the surface was similar to the moon. It was hot and there were large pools of bubbling lava. Oceans formed as it rained on the rocks for millions of years. Yes, millions of years of torrential rains created great oceans. And swirling in the waters of the oceans is a bubbling broth of complex chemicals. Progress from a complex chemical soup to a living organism is very slow. Oh, I guess it is. Doesn't even happen. That's how slow it is. This college textbook says the first self-replicating systems must have emerged in this organic soup. So I think a fair representation of the evolution theory would be 20 billion years ago there was a Big Bang. Some say 16, 15, whatever the number. You pick it. I don't care. And then 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth formed. And it rained on the rocks for millions of years and turned them into soup. And the soup came alive somewhere around 3 to 3.8 billion years ago. And this first life form found somebody to marry. There's a good trick. And something to eat, of course. And slowly evolved into everything we see today. So great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa was soup. Now, I spoke at a college in Boston one time, and they said I can speak to the college if their professors can ask me any questions they want, because they wanted to show the students how dumb the Christians really were. I said I would be honored to come for that. And so I got my charts out and told them what I believe. You know, 6,000 years ago, God made everything. 4,400 years ago, big flood. And then I told them what they believe. You know, 20 billion years ago, Big Bang. 4.6 billion years, Earth cooled down, et cetera, and we all came from soup. One professor said, Hovind, he said, there are 200 to 300 varieties of dogs in the world today. Do you mean to tell me that all those dogs came from 2 dogs on Noah's Ark? You expect me to believe that? I said, sir, would you look at what you're teaching your students? You're teaching your students that all the dogs in the world came from a rock. Now, I spoke at one university, and afterwards this lady came up to me, and boy, she was angry. She said, tonight you said we believe we came from a rock. We do not believe that. I said, ma'am, calm down. You're going to blow a gasket here, man. I said, ma'am, do you believe in evolution? She said, yes, I do. I'm a professor here at the university. I said, okay, then where did we come from? She said, we came from a macromolecule. I said, and where did that come from? She said, from the oceans, from the prebiotic soup. I said, and where did that come from? She said, well, it rained on the rocks for millions of years. It was so cool. You could see it was slowly dawning on her. I do believe I come from a rock, don't I? Yeah, you certainly do, okay? Anyway, so that's what their theory teaches. 20 billion years ago, Big Bang. Cosmic, chemical, and stellar evolution would have to take place in the first, X number of billion years. And then we'd have to have organic evolution. Somewhere, somehow, long ago and far away, life had to start from non-living material. This has been proven wrong for years. Francisco Redi, Louis Pasteur, come on, you guys are in the 14th century if you believe that. And then you'd have to have macroevolution where an animal changes to a different kind of animal. And finally, the only one that is scientific is what we call micro, or simply variations. That one is science. The first 5 are religious. Going just from micro to macro would take a giant leap of faith and logic. Okay? That's a fantasy based upon imagination. You got the other 4 stages too, by the way. This textbook says evolution is change over time. Now watch how they change the definition on the kids. Evolution, in other words, there is no doubt that living things have changed over time. Oh, now they jump down to living things. What happened to the first 4? You're just going to skip them and assume that they're part of science? They very much want to skip them. Then they say, evolution can be defined as a change in species over time. Well, now they're down to what I believe in. I believe species can change. But I believe the changes are limited. See, this is a lie, folks. That's not really what they mean by evolution. They want to suck the kids into believing in evolution by showing them an example of a little variation and then say, see, that proves the whole theory. Oh, it does not. It doesn't prove a thing. It proves dogs produce dogs, sometimes big, sometimes little, but dogs. All the evidence they give for evolution has been proven wrong years ago. Here's a textbook. Evidence from fossils. That's sheer baloney. No fossil counts. You don't know that that bone had any kids. Try that in a court of law, and a freshman law student will tear you apart on that one. Okay? Evidence from structure, molecular biology, evidence from development. Everything they do has been proven wrong. There's no scientific evidence to support this theory except things that have been proven wrong years ago. Now, if real evidence for the theory exists, then please show me. But don't keep spreading lies as if you've got some evidence for your theory. There isn't any. Evolution is based on 2 faulty assumptions.